I'm gonna double check the YouTube really quick. I always like to
Well,
double
I didn't
check
get a
that.
notification.
Oh, there it is. Yes. YouTube really quick. Yes, we are live.
We are live.
All right. I always like to double check that before we get into anything. All righty, man. Well, here we go. Hello,
Here we
everyone,
are.
and welcome in to the first ever post-game Heel Brothers podcast. Myself, Nathan, and Mr. Allen are here today to recap what we got to witness in person was an outstanding performance by the North Carolina Tar Heels. For sure, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Comment throughout. We want to hear you guys. If you guys do comment, we will be posting it right here on the stream, but we'll be replying to you guys as we go along. It's the first time we're doing one of these, so it's a little different. It's a little new. We're so used to doing this stuff with just
Off air.
recording. If we can mess up, it's all right. We'll just edit that part out, make it look fancy.
Yeah,
But
make us look professional.
yeah, professional at least somewhat. Take out the ands and ums. But it's now Monday. Clemson and Duke are playing right now. It's at halftime, 7-6. Really kind of confused what's going on with Clemson. I haven't paid as lick of attention to that game yet. I have been purely focused on getting this thing finished and ready to roll with you. But dude, Saturday was awesome. First off, if you haven't saw it already, be sure and go check out the vlog. We posted it up just earlier today. I had a great time, enjoyed every single second of that moment up there in Charlotte. Was a little nervous going into the game. Me and you both were, I think, a little bit timid.
I was definitely anxious when it come to that game.
Yeah, I was nervous myself. I got up there, and you could definitely, and I had a feeling it was going to be majority South Carolina fans anyway, just because South Carolina fans travel so well
They're
compared to
loud.
UNC, at least football fans, that is. But sure enough, I think it was probably about 70-30, maybe 80-20. South
It was
Carolina to
definitely
North
that
Carolina
70,
fans.
30, 80, 20.
Yeah, it was quite the disparity. We were for sure in the minority in that building. But, I will say this, the North Carolina side was loud. I'll give them credit. They got up and they got excited, especially once the game started off and the defense come out big time, especially that to start the game, the Huzzy slam. Just that right there on that little screen pass. That was amazing. That right there set the tone for the rest of the game right then and there. That first opening drive, that defensive stop, and you got your wish. You got your wish where the defense got a chance to go at it first. I kind of wanted Drake to go at first, but I was
I
very
wanted to see
excited.
I wanted to see what we was talking before the game and coin flip and who won. And I said, Sed's jumping around, slinging his arms. I said, so defense must have it first. I said, so we're going to see firsthand what all this hype, this preseason hype you hear coming out of the UNC camp is going to be. And then boys came out, set them down three and out, and it was on
No
from
time,
there.
dude. Yeah, dude, we were we were sitting there, and I think me and you both were really. I think the whole world was surprised. Anybody that watched that game and knew anything about UNC's defense last year, I think, was completely surprised at what the product that they got during that game ended up being. Mind-boggling and just amazing to say the least. And
It was pleasant surprise.
yeah, now obviously if you're a fan of a team like a Clemson or your Alabamas of the world, the people that have these top, or Georgia, that have these top tier defenses every year, they're like, okay, what, they play defense, congratulations. But you got to think, for UNC fans, this is something new. This is something we haven't had in quite some time,
We
and
haven't had
I
a
think it's
game like this in 10 years.
if that,
At minimum, just a single
yeah,
game. You can't put the cart before the horse here,
yeah.
but just a single game with 9 sacks, 15 tackles for loss, 15, 16 tackles for loss. North Carolina hasn't started a season like that in a long time. or even had a
Yes.
game during any type of, I mean, even against what, FAMU, Georgia State, we
Nothing.
didn't get 9 sacks, 15 tackles for loss. I mean, North Carolina had 17 sacks all of last season.
Mm-hmm. Finished out with 9 Saturday night. 9 sacks Saturday night. Now, just call it what it is. South Carolina's offensive line we knew was going to be a little rough, and they were definitely having some injury problems throughout even the beginning of that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think
against North Carolina. So that you have to say that definitely does play a role into everything. But you know, the what the defense showed, in my opinion, was stuff that can be, it's tendencies that can live on. Like, they were tackling well. You know, if you can tackle well, that's going to carry no matter what it is. You can tackle well. Coming off the edge, getting sacks on the quarterback. Now, I think they honestly had a chance to put up about 12 sacks Saturday night, but they got to give credit to Spencer Rattler. He did slip a lot. And, some of these guys had hands on them, and they didn't bring them down. So they got to work on stuff like that. But that's simple things that you can teach that. You can fix that. That's stuff that you can be fixed. I think the secondary play was honestly pretty good. And I understand they did give up a few explosives. They definitely picked on Tayon Holloway there for a while. And that's okay. That's, he's really a freshman. I mean, really. I mean, he's a redshirt freshman, but he's really a freshman. He's only played in, I believe, one game, and that was that the bowl game, or was that against Clemson, I think. And but the thing about it is he played the ball well in all of those plays, played it very well, and was getting more competitive and more on it as the time went on. And Leggett, whatever you say that dude's name for that,
Leggett, 6'3". He's
that wide receiver. He's a dude, man. He's a dude. He is a dude.
Yeah, Holloway got quote unquote mossed a few times. Yep. But it's not because he was out of position. He was in position. I mean, even on the deep explosive passes that Leggett caught over Tayon, I thought Tayon was in a good position. It's just, I mean, give Spencer Rattler credit. I mean, he put the ball wrong. He knew his guy could go up and get it, and his guy went up and got it. Yeah. Even with all the trouble that North Carolina gave Spencer Rattler Saturday night, he still finished the game 30 of 39.
300 some odd yards, I believe.
So, but the impressive part is, I think they finished with sack yardage included. USC finished -2 in rushing yards. So, I mean, when's the last time North Carolina didn't allow positive rushing yards for an entire game? Going into halftime, they had only allowed 5 rushing yards.
Yeah,
I think that defensive front's severely improved.
Yeah, and everybody was talking about guys like Des Evans, Miles Murphy. Oh, they've got to get after it. They've got to be better. You've got all these 4 or 5 star talents sitting here on your defensive line, and they've got to pop at some point in time. They've got to. Mm-hmm. These guys are 3-4 year guys. They've got to pop at some point in time. Des Evans got a sack. That's one. So far going into the game,
his career production.
Yeah, got that sack. Miles Murphy got a lot of pressure on Spencer Rattler. I don't know if he ended up recording a sack. I don't believe that he did. I know he got a lot of he helped with a lot of the TFLs. That's for sure.
I think he chased down that McDowell, Juju McDowell. He chased him down out of the backfield, chased him down behind the line of scrimmage. That's a big old boy you got running after a running back coming out of the edge.
Yeah. And Juju McDowell's a guy that they really like over there in South Carolina, for sure. Bo Atkinson got out there and got one. I mean, he got out there and got out there and played hard. And that right there is exactly where I think the defense, to me, showed improvement, because now you got guys that are second strings, backups coming in, and they're putting their mark on the game. Mm-hmm. So now when you go into these different games and you have these really good offenses that you're going to be facing throughout the rest of the year, If you
Yeah.
got backups, that's just going to keep your starters even more fresh, and that's exactly what you need. You need that
Yeah.
throughout a game, throughout a season. If you want to contend at a high level, you need that. And I think we definitely saw that big time a lot from the D line. And I think one of the biggest things that we have to talk about first off is, and we believed it was going to be this way, Thunder and Lightning is a dynamic duo that is just getting started. I am telling you.
Yeah.
That duo is amazing.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, Amari Gainer is everything is advertised. There was the one I think the most amazing play, whatever kind of play you want to call it, that I've seen him make. Whatever he started off going at the snap, curling into the inside of the formation, got tangled up with the guard and got pressure up the middle. Well, Rattler rolled out to his left, and then just out of nowhere, Gainer just pops out, and just his chase down speed was just immaculate and just drops him in the backfield.
Caught him with one hand. And not only that, Spencer tried to get away from it, but he just couldn't. And he just brought him down one-handed. That is
Yeah,
strength, that is power, that is quickness.
that Twitter handle or X handle that he has, Amari Ferrari, he lives up to that. He's definitely got some wheels. Then I think probably the easiest sack tackle he'll have in his career. He had last Saturday night. The entire offense, he was playing on the right side of the line. The entire offensive line pushed off to the left and just left him just to run straight downhill into the backfield. And he was there in a second and a half maybe, and Spencer Rattler's on the ground. Yet I definitely agree. The defensive line showed a lot of physicality, something we didn't see at all last year against FAMU, Appalachian State. We didn't see it. So
they were
to
even
come out
getting
and do
bullied
it
against App State last year.
Yeah, I mean, Appalachian State was blowing the defensive line off of their marks. So to see North Carolina's defensive line to come out and set the tone from the first snap of the game, it was impressive. It was nice to see.
Yeah, dude, I absolutely loved every single second of that. That right there, that blew my mind. It honestly did. I love every second of it. I am so glad that we finally got to see it. But now it's all about carrying it forward. The violence and everything that we saw, we heard it. This is what the defense has been talking about. This is all the words that we've been hearing. Oh, we're tired of being called soft. We're tired of this. Oh, you've heard. Oh, they're getting better. They look the best off the hoof team you've saw since God knows how long in UNC. All that stuff came to fruition Saturday night. Now you have to carry it. One game is one game. By the way, shout out to Kamen Rucker, the butcher. Got
we didn't even
national
get to him
defensive
yet.
player of the national player of the week this past week for the defense, and then I think it was Shadur Sanders got it on offense for Colorado.
The quarterback for Colorado, got the national offensive player of the week.
Yeah, I think that's Deion's son. Deion's son, Shadur.
Both his sons play on for Colorado.
Yeah,
Shiloh and Shakur, however you say it.
Shadur. By the way, Travis Hunter, we found out, it's a real dude. That's for sure.
Travis Hunter's, he's a legit prospect. What is that, 5-star plus prospect? I don't know what he was coming out of high school, but yes, Saturday he showed that he was all that in a bag of potato chips. 100 and something receiving yards, 11 receptions, a couple tackles, and interception.
Yeah, no freaking joke, dude. That's
wild. I mean, that's really not. That's something I don't recall seeing since I've followed college football in general. I mean, you don't see players play on both sides of the football at a high level. You just don't see that anymore.
Not
And
anymore. That's for sure. I think Dion and who better to do it? Dion. You know, Deion
yeah,
Sanders, king of that. He knows all
maybe
about it.
that's maybe that's why the NCAA granted him all those transfers.
Yeah, more. We'll get to that right here in just a second. But let's over to the other side of the line. Let's go to the offensive line. We heard all throughout camp
Mhm.
that boy, they look extremely bad. Bad, inconsistent, everything. You see all that. But now they come out and they dominated the line of scrimmage. Now, there's definitely a few things that they have to work on and get better, and I believe that they will. But for the most part, it's like, geez. I mean, because we always thought, is the D line getting better, or is the offensive line just that bad? Who knows? We didn't really know
Yeah.
that. Well, yes and no. It seems
No.
the
Yeah.
offensive line's gotten better. They've gotten a whole lot better, and the defensive line has too. So, what do you think about the offensive line, man? I think they did a great job myself.
Yeah. I thought they were real physical. Again, they didn't give up a single sack to a quote unquote SEC team that come off a end of the year on a pretty much high
Very
note.
high.
Clemson, Tennessee, lost a competitive game to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So now, granted, South Carolina did lose a lot of pieces to the transfer portal. A lot of them are going to other schools for various reasons. But coming out, everything you heard in spring, uh, summer camp, fall camp, the defensive line was getting the better of the offensive line. So you're sitting
Yeah.
here wondering, well, is that because the defensive line is finally producing, or is that because there's real concern for the offensive line? And what, from everything that I've heard, there was just real concern for the offensive line. William Barnes was moved from guard to tackle to left tackle. That's the blind side. Then you have Willie Lampkin, but he's undersized, but he's mean as a junkyard dog. So do you really play him against 300-pound nose tackle when he's undersized? Coming from a group of five level. But I have to say, I think Willie Lampkin was probably, outside of Corey Gaynor, was probably the most physical offensive lineman that we have,
Yeah. For
and
sure.
maybe protected the best. Now, I think William Barnes did do a pretty average, solid job at the left tackle spot. I don't recall, any one thing that William Barnes just got absolutely whiffed on by one of their edges. Um, but then towards the end of the game, you saw where William Barnes got moved to right guard, and they let Diego Pounce play there at the end. So that bodes well for. I think North Carolina's offensive line will get even better once they can fully trust Diego Pounce to play that left tackle spot and move William Barnes back into that right tackle spot. And then you have Lampkin, Pounds, Gaynor, and Spencer Rolland. I think that's going to, if that offensive line can come to fruition, that's going to be North Carolina's best opportunity to have probably one of the best offensive lines they've had in recent years.
Yeah, and especially if you can get Travion Green ready and rolling and get him some reps, hopefully maybe next week against App
Oh
State if
yeah.
they go out there and handle business against App State. You want to get Travion Green ready and
Mm-hmm.
get him there, and who knows, maybe even a couple, depending on how big of a margin you build yourself there against games, like App State, Campbell. Maybe you get to see Zach Rice. I know he's got a long
Yeah.
way to go, but let him progress throughout the season,
Mm-hmm.
and
He's
maybe you
got to
get a
see
guy
some
like
live.
Zach Rice. Yeah, he's got
But
to. He's
the defense and offense is going to have to, do the thing. The offense is going to have to score the ball. The defense is going to have to prevent App State from scoring. We can't allow another 60-point fiasco,
Yep.
because if the defense allows another 60-point fiasco, all the questions that you thought were solved against South Carolina are just going to come right back to the forefront of the
Mhm.
forefront of the conversation.
Yeah, and this is
But
at home in front of a fan base that we clearly saw. The ones that were inside of Bank of America Stadium, oh, they're excited. People are excited for this.
yeah,
I think finally the fans are going to finally start getting excited. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I wanted. I mentioned this in a previous podcast that we did. Like, man, it is time for fans, UNC football fans, to get up, shut up, and come to these games and cheer these guys and be loud. I want you to get as loud and crazy as possible. They need it. They want that confidence booster. The look on their
yeah,
faces, they were running over there, high fiving fans and everything that was right there on the edge. Right as soon as the game was over with, they're hyped. They're excited. It's time for the fan base to start showing that and showing some tenacity.
yeah.
We can play our part too. We can help build these guys up in these games just as much as they can for themselves. That
Hmm.
I just personally believe that, and we were rocking up there on the upper decks. We was having ourselves a good old time. We was
Yeah,
loving it.
it
Yeah,
got interesting up there. That's for sure.
quite interesting, and we loved every single second of it. We did. And that's good. But I want to talk to you about one room really quickly that I'm very proud of, and I'm extremely happy to see is seemingly really good this year. The running back room, British Brooks and Amari Hampton. So let's talk
Yeah,
about British Brooks first. This guy, the last time he played was in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, played a solid game, and not only that, after that, tore his ACL right before last right season
yeah.
began, and hasn't
Hmm.
played football since. I've hadn't played football since until this year. We went to the spring game, not a single brace on his leg, nothing going out there, and he looked really good. He looked fast,
Yeah,
he looked hard, like he was running with power. And sure enough, he comes out in this game and does exactly that. Runs with power, runs with tenacity, finds the holes, and he got, I think, 103 yards total on the night. Amari Hampton, you can tell he's learned to pick his head up
yeah. He's
for
not
sure.
running with his head down no more.
Yeah. And if you have a two-back system like that, and they're running and they're getting better and they're finding the holes, and not only that, they're running as hard as the offensive line is pushing, and they're pushing hard. That is saying something right there.
Yeah. British Brooks looked really good last night. I thought his
Yeah.
vision was just as good as it was when the last time you got to see him in a showcase game, which was against NC State. That vision has only gotten better since then. He looked good against South Carolina Duke's Mayo Bowl, but in my opinion, they didn't give him the ball enough.
That's
I
true.
think if they give British Brooks the ball more in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, we might still lose, but we might not get run out of town
Yeah.
because the touches that British Brooks did get, to the best of my knowledge, they went for 10 or more yards.
Yeah.
I know one of his first touches, he broke off a big one,
Yeah.
and then he just virtually vanished in the second half. But yeah, British Brooks looked really, really good. And I'm happy for him. But I believe by the end of this year, this will be the Amarion Hampton show,
It needs
and
to be.
British Brooks, and it needs to be,
Yep.
and British Brooks will be number two.
Mhm.
Not because British Brooks isn't good enough to be the number one, and I might be way off base, but I Amarion Hampton, I feel is just the future. He's
Mhm.
just learning a little bit at a time. Last year, he got into enough games, and it was his vision's not there. He runs with his head down. Well, that's because in high school he just put his head down and run over everybody because he was bigger, faster, stronger, and he put his head down, and people just roll off of him like water across a rock, and he just scores. Well, you can't do that in Division One football. These guys are
Yeah.
just as big and fast than you, and you put your head down, they're just going to tackle you. So he's starting to develop vision. Then the next step is going to be start to develop that patience. And once he puts those two together, the sky's the limit. I think for Hampton because he's a lot faster than he's got the breakaway speed that I don't think British Brooks has.
Mhm.
Um, maybe a little stronger than British Brooks, but British Brooks looks like a physical specimen.
Yeah, these are two hosses. These are two hosses, man. These are big guys. These are
Yeah.
big dudes.
And that right now, that's why I believe British Brooks is your number one, because he has the experience to be able to wait patiently to find and fill the hole and know when to fill the hole, and he has the vision to be able to see it. But once Amarion Hampton figures those two out, look out.
Yeah. I want to get your thoughts and opinions on a comment that I heard off of a guy from inside Carolina, Jason Staples. He said this. He come from a close. I know you've listened to it, I'm sure. But he said this come from an exterior coach, a coach outside of the program, a guy just looking at North Carolina. He said, Chip Lindsey is the best thing that's happened to North Carolina, and it's completely obvious. To that, you say what?
Chip Lindsey is the best thing that's happened to North Carolina. That's a lot to unpack. I can agree though, because just in the first game, you look at the intricacies that Chip Lindsey brought to the offense. Mm-hmm. You saw Drake May rolling out. You saw Drake May doing like a little fake rollout toss to the running back.
Wildcat is back.
You saw Wildcat. You saw Drake May on two different occasions go out to wide receiver. One was at the goal line, which forced South Carolina to take an early timeout in the first half. Then they just completely switched up the play, gave it to Marion Hampton, which just bull rush right up the middle. You saw there was one running play that I thought was designed really well, and it was just an arm tackle that saved a big gain. On the snap, Drake got the snap and rolled to his right, but then British Brooks was coming from left to right, took the ball out of Drake's May hand and went to the right side and went between the guard and the tackle, and it was just an arm tackle that, saved a big gain there. That's something you didn't really see because there was a lot of motion.
The tight ends, man. Good God, the tight ends.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, and I don't think I pointed it out while I was in the stands, but after the two drops by Blackwell, they essentially brought the receivers out and put the tight ends in. Mm-hmm. All three tight ends was on the field, either on the line or split. So that, those three tight ends. The big third down conversion of Nesbitt, that one goes unseen. Everybody knows the touchdown pass of John Copenhaver, where he just takes it away and catches it. I don't know, man. There's just so many nuances that Chip Lindsey's brought to this offense that Phil Longo's just based. What Phil Longo was good at what he did. And if you got great skill position, if your skill position players are great, a la Daz Newsome and De'Ami Brown, you got Josh Downs also. But if it's
Antoine Green.
Oh yeah, Antoine Green. If it's just two receivers on one side and one receiver on the other, or a 3-and-1, that's easy for the defense to scheme. That's an easy offense to scheme for a defensive scheme for. And I think you saw that.
Just drop 8. Just drop 8.
And you saw it. And South Carolina this year, even you saw South Carolina Saturday night drop 8, but they had an answer. Mm-hmm. They found an answer.
And it forced them to quit doing that. It forced them to quit dropping 8.
They dropped 8. And when they started dropping 8, what did Chip Lindsey do? Empty backfield 5 wide. Mm-hmm. Cover them all. You're going to have to cover somebody. There's going to be a mismatch somewhere. You're going to bring in a safety, but you're going to still have that linebacker. And then you're going to have a linebacker on a 6'8" Bryson Nesbitt. Good luck. You saw the safety just absolutely get boxed out by Copenhaver in the end zone. The safety had no chance, or the corner, whichever one it was, had no chance against Copenhaver on just basically a 30-yard Hail Mary when Drake was in the arms of the defender.
Yeah, and not only that, Kobe Paysour busted defense going down deep wide and caught another touchdown pass right there.
Oh yeah, I don't know if that was just a free release or what happened, but I don't know. I didn't see that play develop, but I saw the ending result, and he was 10 feet in front of everybody.
Yeah, Bless, we got to talk about that. The wide receiver room, man. So you come into this game, we already know Tez Walker's out. We already know that. Now, there was a hidden player on the team that we didn't know. Somebody said there's an injured player on the offense. He's a key player. We don't know if he's going to be there or not. That's the reports I heard before going into the game. Sure enough, that came to fruition. Nate McCullum out for the whole game. Not going to be there.
Yeah.
So you're walking in without Tez, without Nate. Number 1 and number 2 gone. So who do you got left? Kobe Paysour, Gavin Blackwell, Andre Green, Chris Culliver, Christian Hamilton. I feel like I'm missing one. Am I missing one?
JJ Jones.
JJ Jones. Thank you. You got those guys. Well, shoot. Those guys are coming. JJ Jones has proven himself pretty good. Kobe's had some moments, but it's like, I got it. These are my weapons now.
Well, yeah, they had all those weapons last year.
Mm-hmm.
But what they want? They wanted
Tez
NFL talent. They wanted what could be NFL talent because they didn't feel like they had the talent at wide receiver. I mean, take it for what it is. They obviously the coaching staff didn't feel like the wide receivers were talented enough, or they wouldn't went out and look for more talented wide receivers.
Yeah, and Drake handpicked those guys. He handpicked them. Tez and Nate. I want them to. Give me those guys. And you go with them without them. Dude, I am very proud in our wide receiver room. Now, the 2 drops by Gavin Blackwell were very surprising. Very surprising, might I add.
Okay, yeah. One was, I think, was a little more tight. I've seen you look at it on video. The first one that was the 4th down play, right? Yeah, the 4th down play, the inside slant. It was a little more contested, but every wide receiver at that level, if it hits the hands, they expect themselves to catch it, and the coaching staff's going to expect them to catch it. Now the second one,
that was a whiff.
I think that's just more of the you're wide open, you see the ball coming, don't drop it. Crap, I dropped it. Yeah. And then, but what he do? He come back and caught that deep inside post, dive and catch it to 1.
Yeah.
I mean, he come. So, I mean, hats off to him for being able to shake those first 2.
Not only that, kudos to Drake to still trust him enough in a moment like that. I got you. Boom. And just put it right there for him to grab. And he got it. And that says a lot about Drake right there to say, you know what? You got 2 drops. I mean, 2 drops that honestly were touchdowns waiting. They were they were touchdowns waiting to happen.
Yeah, the second drop was definitely a touchdown waiting to happen. That 4th one, it was definitely a first. It would have definitely been a first down, but yeah,
and they would have been deep, right there in the scoring zone.
I have a surprise for you. We're 30-something minutes into this live, and we just now mentioned Drake May of the UNC Tar Heels.
That's awesome. It's amazing, though. Honestly,
if we'd have done this last season, the first thing we'd have talked about is thank you, Drake. You saved the game again.
Thank you, Drake.
And we're 30 minutes into this podcast and no Drake May segment yet.
Drake May honestly had a decent game. A decent game.
He didn't have a Drake May type game.
No. As a matter of fact, there was moments I'm like, man, is something okay with Drake? Like, see, all right. But, I mean, had a decent game, put the ball where it needed to, rolled out of the pocket, and also made some big gains with his legs. You didn't ask a whole bunch of that for him this game.
I think he got one design. I think he got one. If I recall, I saw one design quarterback run.
Yeah, I hope they don't do more of that. Honestly, I don't like that.
Well, I mean, how many did he probably had 15 or 20 a game last? Well, maybe not 20. Maybe 20 might be a far fetch, but at least probably 5 to 10 design quarterback runs a game last season. So I mean, you won. I mean, it almost broke. So I mean, one. If you call one Drake May run a game, okay, just in case there's no spy in the middle, just go for it. But
honestly, I can see that.
You can't run. He can't be your leading rusher, and he wasn't our leading rusher last night. But there's 3 passes that he'd won back. The one that he threw behind Paysour, Blackwell, the one that hit off pace. So I don't know if you can count the second interception on May. The ball was a little behind pace, so it tipped
Yeah.
off his hands. That's a football. That's football. You know,
Yeah, that's kind
football.
of like the interception last year, but with Eccles and Gray. It just
Yeah,
happened to
the one
be the
that
right
kicked off
bounce at the
his
right
foot.
time.
Yep.
Yep.
And
The
then
right hands at the right time.
then the one pass that he just absolutely threw into the dirt and going towards the sideline. That's probably the 3 balls that he'd like to have back.
Yeah, and the thing about Drake Maye, he knows that, and he's gonna go out there and correct it. One thing I definitely like, and this was post game. You know, Drake's the nice guy. He's the guy's going to say everything right. He's professional. We know that, but he got a little chippy when it come to talking about Tez Walker.
Oh, see, I haven't listened to the interviews yet.
See, it's good. See, this is the part that I like about Drake. He don't care. It seems like this is his new persona. Like, I don't care. I'm going to tell it like it is. And he says, you know, I think this is that. He wore the Tez Walker jersey.
Backwards.
I think
so you could see the name.
See the name. Not only that, kudos to ABC to pointing out the nonsense that's going on in the NCAA right now. They spoke on that multiple times. Eric Church wore Tez Walker's jersey, gave him the game ball after the game. They talked about it on
national
TV. At nauseum. They talked about it, and I am so glad and so thankful that they did that because this kid deserves to play. He gets another chance at this Thursday. He had best be on the field against App State. If he is not, oh my God, we're going to have issues. But
it's already beyond ridiculous. I mean, 31-17. We could be looking at 45-17 without the 2 turnovers.
Dude, honestly, I think if Gavin would have caught those 2 touchdowns or caught those 2 passes, I think we would have had 40-some odd points.
So you had Tez, you had Tez and Nate McCullum to this. You're looking. Who knows?
Maybe
60
a 50 burger.
I saw Oregon put up 81 in a football game,
and our defense played well against them last season.
If we get, we're definitely getting Nate McCullum. I'm not sure what he's got going on, but it's obviously just something nagging. But so you're definitely going to see Nate McCullum in the UNC jersey this year. Hopefully, I don't know. I thought we was going to see DeAndre Boykins in a UNC jersey this year, but that's not the case.
Have they said what happened to him yet?
I haven't heard.
I just heard lower, and that's it.
But if the NCAA gives us Tez Walker back, defensive coordinators are going to be up a long, long time.
Yeah, honestly, they are, especially with all these newfangled tricks that have just come out.
His catch rate. Who was it? Don Chapman on the end of rounds. Doc Chapman on the end of rounds. They're looking for ways to get these skill players involved. Like even the ones buried in the depth chart, it's not like, oh, these are our 3 and this is where we're going.
Andre Green saw some time.
Look what they did with Petaway. Petaway had they faked that jet sweep from the slot, and then they threw it to him coming out of the backfield. And South Carolina played it well, and it didn't go for much. But Doc Chapman, he had those 2 big. One was a jet sweep, and I think the other one was just a pure reverse. He's looking for ways to get everybody that they think can contribute on the field.
Yeah,
and first year, second year. Andre Green Jr. got some call. I don't think he was throwing a ball. I don't think J.J. Jones got a ball thrown to him. I know they. I think Drake Maye said they said Drake hit 9 different receivers. I know all 3 of the tight ends got one. Petaway got one. Paysor, Blackwell. Anyway, 8 or 9, whatever. Don't really matter. But yeah, they're spreading the ball around no matter what.
Yeah, and another thing,
passes out of the not out of the backfield as a wide receiver.
Yeah,
when they split them out 5 wide.
One thing I actually, since we're talking about passing, I want to talk about for a second. This was a big area of concern from last season, and honestly, seasons before then. pass protection, whether it be the running backs or the tight ends. I think both rooms did a great job with pass protection. When they were asked to pass block, the running backs, the tight Kamari Morales knocked a dude square on his back.
Pancake that dude.
And
Bridge Brooks
everybody
and
said,
Hampton picked
dang.
up some big ones.
They
Both the
really
running
did.
backs
Not only
picked
that,
up some blitzes.
You talked about this. This is the O-line again. A blitz that come straight up the gut that North Carolina had a hard time with. They'd fake left, come back, go straight up the gut. UNC's offensive line picked that sucker up this year or this time.
I saw a couple stunts where the tackle goes outside and the end comes inside.
Yeah.
And North Carolina really struggled with that last season. Then the twists and the stunts up the middle, somebody was usually coming free. But the first one that I really paid attention to Saturday night in the stands, North Carolina picked up like it. I mean, they passed them off. The offensive lineman passed them off. It was, and I pointed out to you. I was like, "Oh, they just ran a stunt and they stuffed it." And I was excited to see the offensive line performing.
Yeah, dude. So that lets me
zero
know
sacks against the SEC team. And everybody says, "Oh, the SEC, SEC." So I'm just reiterating what everybody else says. ACC is 2-0 against SEC teams.
Yeah, and right now it looks like even more ACC. Like Duke right now looks really good against Clemson.
Oh yeah, they're up. I got the screen to my right. Then you'll probably see me look over there. But whatever his name, the quarterback for Duke broke off a 44-yard touchdown run. Pretty much untouched.
And not only that, but they're stopping Clemson's offense, and the game's kind of stuck at 13-7 right now. It's nuts to say, as we're currently live. But now all the attention goes to this week. App State at home, North Carolina's first home game of the season. We saw what this game was last year. I think this game is going to get a lot of attention considering UNC, how they come out against South Carolina. App State, they're coming in with a backup quarterback, but the backup quarterback don't seem to be half bad, it seems.
And North Carolina had a tendency last year to making backup quarterbacks look like Heisman contenders.
Not only that, but last year, the previous year before that, they did a really good job with that. So now it's time for North Carolina to really right the ship here. Got to right the ship here. You've got to not only prove that you deserve to be here, but go from there and build on it. You got to, Mac Brown had his weekly press conference today. He says you got to stack days now. You got to start stacking them. And it's time to turn the page, go into App State. And this is a game I think North Carolina needs to come out and they need to win by at least 3 scores.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should. App State lost a lot from last season. And you would hope, it's like Jason Buck, which one of them? It's like they said, it's easier to coach a team harder after a win because you won. So if you lose, you don't really want to coach them hard because they're already upset that they lost. They gave it their best, but they made too many mistakes. So it's not like you pat them on the back and say, we're going to the next, but you can coach harder after a win. So, I mean, it's like you said, it's building stepping stones, building blocks. You take what you did right against South Carolina. You shore that up fundamentally. And then you look at we'll take the Huzzy Power Echoes play where they got confused on who was passing off the running back out of the backfield. And then the back out of the backfield got loose on a wheel route and almost scored. You take the miscommunication out there and by here, this is what y'all did. This is what we see. This is what should have happened. And then you correct that. So when you correct that, what does that do? That's one less play that you can take out of the equation. You pass that off right. Because App State's going to see that play and they might implement the same thing at some point in the game. Well, if North Carolina corrects it in practice this week, that play's getting stuck for no gain or 2 or 3 yards, not a 20-yard gain down the sidelines.
Right.
So it's just small incremental stepping stones. And by George, I mean, if you get another 9 sacks, well, guess what? You got more in 2 games than you did all last season. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying North Carolina's got to get 9 sacks every game. I'm not saying North Carolina's got to get 5 sacks every game. 1 or 2 would be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you get your hands on the quarterback and not bring him down, you're still creating havoc in the backfield. And then you might cause that quarterback to make a mistake. And then you got Huzzy or Marcus Allen or Tayon Holloway can intercept the ball, or one of your linebackers get an interception. If you can create havoc up front and get that quarterback to running or get happy feet and just loft one up in the air, good things can happen.
Yeah, I'm with that myself. This is a game I want to see some backups get to play in, and it's going to be interesting because we are just a few short days away, and we have got ourselves quite the game coming up. So we'll take another look at that pretty soon. Later on in the week, we'll take a look at more of that matchup and see how it's looking. But I think we're going to get out of here. I think it's time enough. I think we right now I'm kind of keeping an eye on this Clemson game because it is honestly very shocking to me that 13-7 right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if it's Duke's defense or the growing pains of installing a new offensive coordinator. A little bit of both, or maybe I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
I
Man.
think the jury's still on Cade Klubnik too.
Yeah, that is true. He does have to prove himself today. But think about this, man. It seems like they keep moving the ball down the field, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on there. Like they keep getting down there in scoring zone, but something's going on down there.
I know Duke blocked one field goal, and I think they just blocked another one a couple of series ago, or maybe the kicker just flat out missed it. But yeah, 7-13.
Cade right now is 19 for 27, 139 yards, 1 TD, no interceptions. I'm trying to see what's going on here. Clemson's got 2 fumbles, one by Andrew Mbaku and then Wade Woodaz. And I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. Interesting game, very interesting game. So hopefully keep an eye on
defensive player. So if he fumbled it, Clemson must have had the defense must have turned Duke over. Then Duke's offense turned the defense over in the same play. If Woodaz was, because I know Woodaz is a linebacker for Clemson.
Yeah, Duke's got 2 fumbles. K. Klubnik's got a fumble. Okay, Clemson. Okay, so my bad. Those 2 defensive players, there's the ones that have gotten the fumbles off of Duke.
Yeah,
Cade, they've committed 1 turnover, and that's off of Cade. Cade dropped 1. So, and
anyway,
Riley Leonard's 14 of 30 for 157 yards.
Yeah, he's not. He's not. I mean, he's got the yardage, but he's spraying and praying.
So really good on the Clemson's defense must be stout. So one more question before we get out of here for you, sir. You still like your 10-2 pick?
Man, if this defense keeps going, I like that 10-2 pick.
You don't want to change it?
I picked what, Clemson and NC State?
Yeah.
No, I mean I'll stay. As of right now, I'm gonna stay with that. Clemson. I mean, it's what I'm seeing right now. The jury is still out on Clemson. I'm still confident in the first 4 games. I watched the Minnesota game. I'm not saying Minnesota will play like that in week 3 like they played in week 1, but if they play week 3 like they play week 1, North Carolina should have their backups in by the 3rd quarter.
I'll be at that game. I'm excited.
But yeah, what everybody says, you can't win them all unless you win the first one. And we're going to check that box, and North Carolina's 1-0, and the season's on.
I'm gonna stay at 11-1, but my meter of going to 12 is ticking. We'll see how the rest of the season goes.
That one game is, 11-1's not a bad pick. That one game that you got them losing, that's going to be a tough game. You're going to need Tez Walker for that game.
And honestly, if Tez is, we'll find out Thursday. If Tez is approved Thursday, and seeing how Sunday goes, this time next week, I might have another pick for you. I might be willing to say it.
12-0.
Now, the loss of
Tommy,
DeAndre Boykins is interesting.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, your two corners are going to have to grow up because, I mean, they start picking on one or the other. You have to remove Tez from the star position and put him on the outside. And then you're bringing DJ Jones into to the star position. Now, DJ Jones got in late in that game at the star position.
And that's good. You need to work him in. Work him in.
But and another name we didn't see, Caleb Hood. We didn't see him at all.
Yeah, I was surprised at that. Did you see Will? I didn't see Will Hardy at all.
No, he was dressed. He dressed, warmed up. Because I pointed out, I said, "Hey Nathan, look, there's Will Hardy warming up with the team before during pregame." But I never saw him. I never seen him get on the field. Why risk it? I guess. I mean, it was close in the first half.
He's already having injuries.
Yeah, I mean, you came out in the second half, and you kind of got some separation, and yet it looked like it might get closer, but then your defense stepped up. So there's really no reason to bring him in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That, and I think it's really good for the team to finally get another win in daggum Bank of America Stadium. I didn't like that stadium purely.
Well,
based on
I think there's a lot of storylines going into that one. But North Carolina definitely wanted to knock the sour taste out of their mouth for that stadium. But one thing that's real, and Staples said that he didn't play as good as he knows he can play. But Huzzy, South Carolina didn't test Huzzy after that first series.
Mm-mm.
They didn't go
all
after
it took
Huzzy.
Was that one drop. Like that dude picked that
Juice Wells was a non-factor.
Yeah. Juice Wells, they pulled him out, I think, after the first half, and they just said, bump it.
Yeah.
He's gone. But
well, he was on the injury report too, so we'll have to see. The jury's still out on him. Beamer made it loud and clear that they had a lot of injuries on that team. Blah, the chain gang was eating hot dogs.
That's why I don't care for Shane Beamer. I don't care for that dude.
I know it was overblown, but did you see Matt Brown grab Shane Beamer by the throat?
Hey son, come here. Real Carolina's in blue.
Oh, I don't think. And I think Mac even addressed it. I don't think Mac. He did. I haven't seen what Mac said, but I did see somebody say that he addressed it in the post game, and it was not what it intended to be. But I have seen some memes that are pretty hilarious.
I know, I love it. I love it.
And I like Shane Beamer. I have nothing against Shane Beamer. I like him. He's brought a spark to that team that team hasn't had. Now I'm glad we beat the dog puddles out into him, but I think he's a young, energetic coach, and that's something that the NCAA doesn't have a lot of. I mean, look, you got Nick Saban, you got Kirby Smart in Georgia, but Nick Saban, then you got the Harbaugh in Michigan. He's been around forever. So I mean, you got it. I mean, Mac Brown, he's older. Mac Brown's a perfect coach, is a great coach, but at some point in time, North Carolina's going to have to address that, and you got to start injecting some younger blood into the college game.
Yeah, I'm on
just to get the high, just to get the better players out of high school. You want somebody that these players can recruit to.
Yeah, I think the next one's going to be Garrett Riley. I think, depending on what he does here at Clemson, he's going to be the next big-time young coach coming in. You got Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're 2-0. Look out.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. But, man, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. We had a good time. Again, check out our vlog if you haven't already. We had a good time. Just a couple minutes.
Fun time.
Let us know how
third co-host Third code host had a little segment in there.
Yeah, he did. He really enjoyed that. I'm glad for him. Man. We'll have to get him in there for some more.
Yeah, he was happy for that little moment.
Yeah. Well, man, we're going to get out of here. Thank you very much. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you thought about the North Carolina 31-17 win against the South Carolina Gamecocks and what you think they're going to be doing going in the future, especially this weekend, App State at home. Thank you all for being here, and go Heels.
Go Heels.